Now, as I was saying in the intro, I was telling everyone that we're going to be talking about why you're working out and you're not seeing results. So let's
Mhm.
start there. And what are some common reasons why that might be happening?
I mean, the biggest reason is actually you just overeating on what you work out. And so, when you go on the machine, you just start breaking a sweat, like you have fun, and you're like, oh, okay, I should treat myself to an ice cream now. And what you don't realize is that you haven't worked out enough. So, say, you walk a mile. I don't know, in Canada, you use a mile, so like a little bit, almost like a little bit over a kilometer.
Hmm.
That's only uh, like 200 calories. That's how much you do. Like you walk that much.
Hmm.
So like it's very, and then it's not even accurate because yeah, each one of us burn calories differently, but that's like the ballpark. So to burn ice cream, you probably like need to walk or run, 4 or 5 hours, and nobody
Uh-oh.
wants to do it. It's just that
Uh-huh.
simple. And so the biggest reason is that you're overeating when you work out. So sometimes it's just maybe you even gain a couple of pounds when you go
Hmm.
work out because like, yay, I need to, reward
Yeah.
myself with this. And then you don't realize, oh, you actually, don't burn as much as you think you did.
Yeah. So that sounds like there's a little bit of a disconnect with what we know in terms of, okay, how many calories am I burning with this activity and how many calories are in this specific
Hmm.
food? So I
Hmm.
guess just having more knowledge about your workouts and what they're doing for you and the foods that you're eating and what those are doing for you. So
Hmm.
that's a great first point because I know that mentality that we have, it's like, okay, I worked out, now I deserve
Yeah.
this treat, or I'm going to be
Hmm.
working out later so I can eat a little bit extra right now. Um,
Yeah.
but in reality, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and especially with those workout machine, or you like me, you have like Apple Watch and then they record calories. Those aren't right. I
Okay.
will tell you that right off the bat. So like I used to have a Fitbit and now I have an Apple Watch.
Hmm.
And the Fitbit would like regularly block me like over, you know, 1600 calories a day. And the Apple Watch is like, you know what, you got 1,000 calories or something like that.
Huh. So you're saying that they're not that accurate.
They're no, they're not. Like none of, even on the workout machines and you see like those numbers
Mm.
aren't accurate. Like there's no, like the real, like the most accurate way is when you're dead and they measure it that way. But
Damn.
like so don't trust any of those. And the
Yeah.
closest we've got to actually measure your calories when you work out is when you got hooked up to a machine with like a mask. And
Hmm.
like like in the hospital, and then that big thing will be connected to a computer to measure how much oxygen you're breathing
Hmm.
in and out, like how much oxygen and CO2 you're breathing in and out. And then from that, they do calculations to bring out your calories. So like that's the most accurate way we have right now to measure
Yeah.
calories. So like whatever you see when you work out, I mean, if you feel good about it, then go ahead, but like they're not
Take it
accurate
with
at
a
all.
grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I have seen some videos of like pro athletes being hooked up to the machine and they're sprinting on a treadmill or something. So I didn't know that's what they were measuring when they were doing that.
Yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
interesting that you say that these like watches that we have to track our calories aren't accurate because at the same time, a lot of the calories on food labels aren't accurate either. They could be
Hmm.
off by about 20% in either direction. And at the same time, we also don't know exactly how many calories our body is absorbing when it comes to the food that we're
Yes.
eating. So there's two
Hmm.
ways that your calculations that you think that you're doing from looking at the food that you're eating or looking at the watch that you're wearing, it could be skewing your results. So that's an important thing to note here.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
can you think of any other reasons why you might not be getting the results that you want to be getting?
I mean, it's also you're probably not working out enough. Like I know it's sort of hard to hear, but the
Mm-hmm.
recommendation both by the US Department of Health and the World Health Organization is for you to work out at least 150 minutes a week. of moderate intensity workout. So that means you break a sweat. It's not like light intensity is like you're just having fun. You can still talk,
Mm-hmm.
but moderate intensity is like you only answer yes or no question. So that's one way to think. And it's a lot. And then if you want to lose weight, you have to go above it, like for
Okay.
that minute. So or you work out hard, like you go too vigorous, like you can't talk at all. Run. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so it's just, not working out enough is another problem as well because yeah, you work out for a bit, but you're not working to like the healthy recommendation that, it's recommended for you to sort of like still be healthy. And yeah, 115 minutes break down to like 30 minutes for 5 days a week. Obviously, you can group them together. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
want to do 75 minutes for 2 times a week. You can do that too. But it's just about, not actually putting yourself like working hard enough. Like you don't break a sweat. You just like, my mom just like walk out, right? Be like having fun. She's just taking her
Mm-hmm.
little stroll there. Yeah, it helps with getting active, which is great. But if you want to improve yourself and actually have like losing weight, you have to go above it.
Mm-hmm. Now, can you give us some examples of what a moderate to vigorous activity would be? So I understand it should work up a sweat, but what are some examples so people can kind of understand?
So, I mean, the biggest way to understand is like we call it the speak test. And basically, when you like say you run or walk on the treadmill, right? Somebody ask you a question, and for moderate intensity, you can say yes or no. Like, how was your day? You be like, oh yeah, yeah, sort of thing, like, or good. Like you only answer
Okay.
one word question, like one word
Mm-hmm.
answer. That's moderate intensity. So yeah, but like in like vigorous intensity, you're not like your mind is blocked. Like they're asking,
Uh-huh.
but like you have no energy to be like dealing with this. Like you'd be like, okay, just give
Mm-hmm.
me a minute. Like, I need to finish this, and then we'll talk later. So that's how you
Okay.
differentiate between moderate and vigorous intensity.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard of that speech test before, so that's a cool way to figure out if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing something more moderate or more vigorous there.
Yeah.
Um, now, I thought of a question where there's a lot of talk about working out more often because you're saying you can do like a 30-minute workout 5 days a week. Um, does that have an effect on your metabolism? Yes or no? Why or why not? Can you talk a bit about that?
Um, can you say that again? Like you got cut out for a bit.
Oh, sorry about that. So, can you talk about physical activity and the effect it has on your metabolism?
Mm-hmm. So obviously, when you work out, you use your body just your muscles move around, and so your body getting warmth, and it's actually like what we've done throughout like many years. Like you have to walk, and so yeah, you get more effective. And the biggest thing with working out is that it improves your metabolism. Obviously, you can absorb better. So, like you want someone like me who used to be an athlete. Like that's why it's a problem, a double-edged sword, because I absorb nutrition better. And then once I'm not working anymore, I still absorb pretty well. I'll tell you that. It's just not
Mm-hmm.
going out again. So like you get like a better thing. So yeah, your mind's moving, and then especially with stress, and a lot of it with psychology is intertwining with metabolism. It's like your stress
Mm-hmm.
hormones, they go out when you work out, when you're breaking up a sweat, like they just go out. And so that means you get less stress, so your body gets better. Then it's improved your metabolism better because like now there's not a rock under your head anymore. It's more like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's much better. You're not stressing out. It's not, fight, the flight or fight. So you're sort of like
Mm-hmm.
exercise sort of remove that part off of your
Mm.
body so that your body can go into a more relaxing space when it needs to.
Wow, I had no idea that working out worked in a way to reduce stress in that way. I feel like I've seen things here and there about how working out reduces
Mm-hmm.
stress. But then I've
Mm-hmm.
also heard kind of the counter argument. Well, people say like, "Oh, working out puts me in a state of stress because I don't want to do it. I hate it," and blah blah blah. So
Yeah, it's
that's
it's
cool that
more
it does
about
that.
yeah, you have to the thing with that is that's the next misconception is like you have to do this one thing of working out to lose weight or get healthy. It's actually a very big thing, and you can lose weight lifting weight or running on a treadmill. It's just much easier to say running on a treadmill because like just a machine and you run, it's much easier for you to get started that way. But if you want to lift weights, you know, like you need a spotter, you need like all the form shaking. Yeah, it's much harder to get started, but it still works. So
Mm-hmm.
people would say like, yeah, and I hate it. Just like, yeah, they just haven't tried out enough yet because as long as like exercise is pretty much liberating, as long as you stay within the sort of parameters, you know, the safety ones, then you're pretty much good. Like you don't have to, you know, I hate walking out on the street. Like my mom does it, I don't. Like she can do it all day, like all day,
Mm-hmm.
every day. She do it. But like for me, I run on my elliptical, you know, elliptical thing, and then when I and then I lift a bit of like, you know, pin loaded machine. So that's what I do. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe people need to take time, you know, be easy on themselves to figure out like, okay, which sort of exercise do I really want to do?
Yeah. Now, we got an interesting comment here that I actually want to address. So it says physical and emotional stresses are quite different. Now, I might be wrong, but from what I understand, physiologically, it would be the same. It's the same hormone, cortisol, that would be getting released and having that effect in your
Hmm.
body. Fung, can you address this at all? Do you know any of the differences there?
So yeah, it's different, but it's also intertwined at the same time. So yeah, emotional stress is can be caused by, you know, outside things like, you know, you have a test coming up or, you know, your job is stressing you out. So that's one thing, but also it's intertwined away. Like if you're sitting down 8 hours a day, like straight up, it causes stress as well. So there, because it's in the same body, just think about it that way. So, you know, what you eat is also like outside, but it's also inside. Like you don't know how much you absorb. It's the same thing when you think about stress. Yes, uh, it's outside, it's affecting in the inside as well. So, yeah, but at the same time, there's a couple of things you can control to deal with the stress. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's a so that's where we get into like a little bit of itty bitty thing with, you know, people are looking for. Obviously, like, when I work with my clients, usually I just ask them like, you know, what's going on in your life. So I got one that, you know, she's just stressed out. You know, her weight is still fine, but you know, she hates her boss. Like that's her problem. And she coped by, you know, eating a lot of sugar. Like you're talking about like boba tea every day with like double sugar and everything. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was told like I don't think we're ready to get started on, you know, an exercise routine if you're pretty stressed out. Like that's what you need to taking care of first. And
Mm-hmm.
then exercise can be a way to help you manage that stress. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that would be my answer to that question.
Yeah. I really enjoy how you dealt with that and how instead of going right into the fitness, you addressed the emotional, mental side of things and said, okay, we have to get your stress
Mm-hmm.
management under control first because that affects the
Mm-hmm.
way that she's eating. And that was one of
Mm-hmm.
the first points that we said, or maybe it was the second point where
Yeah.
we're eating too much in comparison to the physical activity
Mm-hmm.
that we're doing.